Yes. Sign sheet. Thank you, sir. I know. Right here, just kind of catching up to my mind is trying to catch up to my body.
I know.
We can begin this meeting. Good evening and welcome to the Russell Park Land Use and Economic Development Committee meeting. Tonight we have a two-page agenda. Pretty good.
And the front page is nothing but legalese.
Yeah.
So we can begin with welcome. My name is Ruby Rivera. I'm vice chair. And the Montalegre is not here tonight. Still in Hong Kong. Or is it Tokyo?
Tokyo.
Tokyo. So, Marge, Sean.
Hi, John.
We're just still scribbling.
Oh, sorry. Marge Piani, board member and committee member.
Jared Johnson, committee member.
Bradley, committee member.
Chandler Grace, committee member.
John Wong, business administrator.
And Bruce Schwab, just member.
Oh, yes.
That's okay, it's the only couple spots.
I'm sure this is yours, right? The sign-in sheet is still yours, Sam. There we go.
Do we have any board member comments or announcements when we proceed with the actual meeting?
I do.
Go ahead,
Madam Chair.
Bradley.
We have, I remember seeing a final agenda from Andy Montalegre and Ruby, and then I saw this agenda that Marge provided. Which agenda are we going to be using tonight?
It wasn't final, it was still a draft when I got it.
Oh,
So when I became appointed interim chair of the committee, the one for Andrew was never published, never posted, never anything, and it was a draft. So when I got it, and he was out of the country, I decided that I might as well
Create a new
create
agenda.
it. Well, it wasn't brand new.
Yeah, it's
These are
still
the items
part
that
of
he
it.
had on it. In addition, I added information about like the updates and number 6, which is board action, which somehow we never get that. You know, the board does something that involves us and we don't know about it. So I put that on there. And I also formatted it so that to me it reads kind of more.
cleaner.
Yeah. And those are the only changes. I did not add anything to it with regard to, you know, additional items. I don't think, but, you know, I've been only doing like 4 different agendas for 4 different committees, so anything could happen.
Yeah, so I guess the only agenda that was posted is this new agenda that we're going to look at.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Is there something missing on this that Andrew had?
No, I was looking at, Andrew had contacted me via email, and he had said he didn't recall saying anything about report on board actions regarding EDLU committee, and to ask that question.
Okay,
Because
and that's
he
on
want-
there because I thought for a change,
Well-
we should actually
Hey, Jim.
know what the board, you know, did.
So that was the thing that he was concerned about from Tokyo, was like, you know, who added something on the agenda that wasn't the chair or the secretary, or I'm sorry, the recorder. And I said, I don't know. All I know is I've got 2 agendas, Andy, and all I can do is bring, you know, provide Ruby with the one you asked me
Somewhat
to.
surprised that he didn't ask me that question, because he did email me 2 or 3 times
Oh.
under him, and I am the interim chair. So it seems to me that it's perfectly within my rights.
Did he tell you?
To create-
Did he know you're the interim chair?
Yes.
But can I ask a question? You're the interim chair of the committee?
Yeah, and that's part of what all the chairs got reassigned at the last board meeting.
Okay.
Interim chairs.
Oh, okay.
Just to call the next meeting, because that's what we do every 2 years. So, believe believe me, I did not ask for it.
Right, right.
And it's one meeting only, and as it turns out, it's not this meeting because we decided that this was too much on the heels and we didn't have protocol in place for repopulating.
Right.
So
Or
we're
dissolving
not
the
doing it
committee.
here, which is why Ruby is running this meeting and not me.
Okay.
And I will call the August meeting, at which we will do whatever the board arrives at their August meeting.
Because we understand from Tom Soon that the dissolution of the committee was agendized properly.
Right, but the
So I
interim chair
guess-
part was.
Yeah, so I guess
Correct.
he contacted.
That's me.
Yeah.
So that one's on me. You can blame my inexperience on that one.
Yeah.
But the next round, we will be dissolving committee members just so we can see who's still in the committees. There's a lot of them that haven't met in a while. We're not sure if anyone's still active and wants to be a part of it. And it would also help clean it up and know where we stand with the rest of the committees. And so the language isn't in place in the standing rules or the bylaws currently, but it should be voted on at the next meeting. And then this round will happen all over again. But if you'd still like to remain on the committee, it's totally open.
Just remember then, in order for, if it's a policy, it has to go to a bylaw change. If it's a standing rule, it goes to the boards.
Right,
Correct.
that's why we're going to make it a standing rule, so
Yeah,
we can
okay.
actually do it quickly and have it happen.
Okay.
So you will be doing a retraction email?
Yes, coming up.
Good. So we'll
So
need
the
to-
current board has the opportunity to join this committee if they want.
So I would just add that it would behoove the committee members to at least know what the board is doing because we are here to recommend to the board. And the board can make decisions that will impinge upon committees.
So are we all resigning? Is that what I'm hearing?
We
We're
will have to
we're
ask
waiting for
somebody
the board
at,
to act. We don't know. We were going to do what we did in 2014, which was dissolve the committees and then re-up. But because that wasn't on the agenda in July, we can't. So now it's going to go to bylaws committee on the 1st and go to the board on whatever it is, the 18th or 19th. And by the time we meet again, there will be language and protocols in place for how to repopulate
Yes,
committees.
that-
Just want to make sure, because I'm very familiar with protocols, process, and procedures, as Marge knows pretty well. So I just want to make sure we follow that, because we don't want any conflicts or complaints with regard to how committees are repopulated, dissolved, or created.
I agree with that.
Definitely, we want to make sure it's followed through city policy and procedures.
Yeah, we're working with Don on it as well.
yeah, we don't want any grievances. We've seen those that have done it, and we don't want to be part of that anymore. Now, maybe the next thing we need to find out is who in this current committee would like to stay.
It's not on the agenda.
Well,
I'm just,
I think that's the.
I know.
Well, yeah, but we remember, we can only stick to what's on the agenda, and and I think what we best do is follow the agenda and then allow the board to work with the neighborhood empowerment, to figure out what policies or procedures need to be in place before we even get to.
it's kind of a gray matter right
Yeah.
now. Even Dunn is not familiar with it, so,
True.
okay.
But good question.
Don't have anybody here, public comment unless Benjamin, you want to say something?
Happy to be here.
So we were hoping some of our applicants are going to be here tonight. So anyway, I think it'd probably be good to think about it right now. And at the next meeting is when we decide.
Well, I guess I should put out there, unfortunately, I can't attend the next meeting because that's the day before my sister's wedding.
Oh,
So I will be out of town for the repopulation meeting.
Where is the meeting? Or is the?
Fresno, that's right, correct.
Fresno.
Is there a process for,
Well, when I looked at the bylaws, or the standing rules currently, it says that the committees are, the new committees formed by basically whoever shows up the day of the committee that's a stakeholder and says that they want to join. So I
video yourself?
had no,
He happened to
Skype
be, he happened to be there at the last couple of meetings, right? Very enthusiastically wanted to join our group, so.
And aware of codes. Better aware of codes.
let's go ahead and move on to our items for presentation and discussion. Unless there's anything else you would like to
Did
discuss.
everybody read item 6? That's just only there for information.
Excellent.
Well, the information, the fact that this was passed on by the board, so this is now what governs the committee.
No, it doesn't. But nevertheless, this is, as Marge has very clearly said, this is for information only. I understand what she's doing with that, making sure that it's on the agenda. So
Bradley, you said number 6.
yes, I'm aware of what
Item
she's
6.
doing. She's correcting.
Item 6
Well,
is the new agenda.
6A through B.
What did Marge say? That's correct.
That's for information only. It's on the agenda for the committee members to know what's coming.
What the
up.
board did. No, it's not what's coming up.
Number
This
6
is
is
what action.
bylaws changes that we made.
This is
These
all-
are now in the bylaws, or
But
they
you
have?
No,
can't,
they're
you
in
can't
the
make
standing
bylaw
rules.
changes. That's what I'm trying
No,
to say.
stop, they're standing rules.
That's right.
And they're in the standing rules. Because bylaws changes need to be approved by Dunn, and it takes months. Standing rules govern the committees generally, and they are something that we can enforce on our own.
I misunderstood that. I
Yeah,
thought
so-
that we
That's
changed the
what I've been
bylaws.
saying.
No, we changed the standing
And
rules.
that was a problem.
These
That was the
items are
question.
currently
What?
being typed into the standing rules by the new secretary. So
That's what she-
these items will affect us, they are in place, which is not to say that at the next bylaws meeting, they would maybe be reworded or revised or deleted or whatever.
But it's
Anything
here.
can happen, but it's here because it is currently being typed into the standing rules as codified working policy.
And FYI, it's there. Like it. I do have one thing though, I have to question. We have these items on the agenda where we don't have applicants present.
Yes.
We need to figure out a way to do this better because if we did not have any applicants, we don't need to have a committee meeting
Right.
unless we have
However,
business.
Mr. Nathan Adut spoke to me twice
Mm.
and said he would be here.
Okay.
Actually, that's the case I had a question about.
Mhm.
So he said he was coming. He emailed me, he called me.
And Ray Day, we don't know about him, but he was supposed to be here.
The one on Cazador.
Yeah, that's the
Andrew said that he had spoken with Eden Gorevitek, and that Eden said that she was coming. She did not reply, she didn't reply to my call, she didn't reply to emails, so I emailed Andrew and said, I can't get a hold of this person, what do you know? And he said, all I know is that she said she was coming, but she also said that she was sending plans in advance, and she never did. So,
And that poses a problem, as you know. We've gone through this before where we need the exhibits at least somewhat in advance.
Right.
So
They've
we
been on the
have,
website since June.
right, I'm
but
not.
there's nothing on Cazador.
Cazador.
Wait, the $33.95?
There's an application.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so we're talking about the exhibits that we would normally review, although we're advisory. I mean, it's nice to see kind of what we're reviewing.
Right.
but kind of
With regard to Hines, I actually downloaded them on my laptop and brought my laptop. So if we want to proceed on Hines, we can look at the plans on the laptop.
And I believe I sent to everyone those.
Right, and we sent a link yesterday. I think I sent out a link to the website saying, here's how you can find the Hines, because we're not going to have a projector. So,
But you know, this is becoming very frustrating where we have these items on the agenda and we're ready to at least review for advisory recommendation.
right, I don't think the problem exists that they're on the agenda. The problem exists that people are blowing us off.
Mm.
I mean,
We look at it.
truly, well, how else could you look at it? They say they're coming, you put them on the agenda. You must trust that what they said is the truth. If they're just lying to us, and, I mean, we can't just leave a blank agenda in case somebody decides not to show up.
That was not the point I was making. I was just saying is that we've got to either clear them that we are, you know, not going to take an action because the applicant was not there, and move on, or a no-show, but I mean, it's just, we're coming against these kinds of things again where we have 4 or 5 cases where we meet and then the next meeting we have the same 4 or 5 cases and so on and so on. So we've got to resolve that at some point. Because it's repetitiveness.
I don't
I think it's
understand
being,
how.
yeah, I think it's being worked on at one level, as you can see when we have the status updates and pending projects. But also, we're a committee where that 72-hour Brown Act Doesn't apply the way it does say with other committees because we have so much information that we have to get out. And we need to have time to alert the community. And so that's why we're trying to post a week in advance so that people will actually have the opportunity, the applicants have the opportunity to email out, notice of the meeting flyers to the surrounding area.
And can I add to that, the new WIT committee is only allowing, you have to send things 3 days before you want them on the website, which then becomes 6 days before the meeting, so that further.
Okay.
So that's in addition to the week that the women's come?
No, not in addition to the week, but you have to post something 72 hours, before the meeting. But WIT is asking for 72-hour turnaround in case somebody's not available to post it because, people have busy lives. So WIT is now asking for a 72-hour turnaround for
So what that
posting.
leaves us is if the applicant is unable or unwilling, it still allows us some time, if we have the time and energy, to jump in and try to alert the community that we're going to be discussing the project.
So with regard to Cazador, do we know anything about that project at all?
There's a community, just the application and the community planning referral form, but they don't provide much.
They're talking about a remodel and an addition, right? It's on the
Interior
application.
remodel. Interior remodel.
But additional square footage,
Fine.
not just
Yeah,
an
so
interior
and
remodel.
and it's classified as a major, because it's over 200 square feet of additional.
Yeah.
Hi, hey.
East Area Progressive Democrats, so I'm guessing this is not East Area.
Yeah.
No. I don't know where they are.
Not tonight.
So it's supposed to be
Coming out anyways.
It's the land use,
Land
Yes.
use,
Yep.
yeah, this is land use. No, the progressive group met last week.
Oh, because of the convention.
No, because they
Oh,
had
let's say-
scheduled the affordable housing.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, 100 people.
So what do we do?
So, is there anything about this project on Cazador Court?
Yeah.
Are they asking for any variances? Do we know? We don't know.
They're
Oh,
asking for I think it was just a ZAD, which is the standard request for the hillside streets to get out of having to pave all the way down the street to the next fully improved street. Usually in the city, that's a standard approval, and they just condition you to approve the portion of the street in front of your home.
Right.
Now, I
So-
didn't drive down Court. I took some photographs of the cul-de-sac, and then the court goes down off of that. I assume it dead ends, because it's very narrow down the hillside. So I'd have to take if we come back to this, I'll take a better look at it and walk down there and take some more photos. This is primarily, just the very last page is the cul-de-sac, and this thing just takes off to the right of the photo.
I remember it very well. I know the property very well,
Yeah.
very well. And there's no improved street to that specific property. So I think the issue of the ZAD is easily resolved. It's the issue of getting to that property in a public safety manner that is of concern.
But aren't there a number of houses on that street? I think there are like 4 or 5 on Court.
Are they all on narrower than 20 feet? I mean, they're all older buildings?
I have to take a look and measurement. I'm guessing so.
The way it is, Marge, is that properties go further down. So you actually, it's kind of like a unimproved street to that specific property.
Looks like
All the way
private
down.
drive.
Yeah, all the way down. It's like a drive, but you can't, again, it's
Can I just kind of ask a question, for us tonight, kind of what Bradley brought up a minute ago about how nobody's here? I'm not blaming anyone for that. I blame the people who said they'd show up and didn't, but I don't blame anyone here for them not being here. But I guess it's my opinion, and I wonder what you guys think, that I don't feel like we should necessarily feel obligated to review the stuff
Ditto.
if they don't show up.
And at the
Excellent.
same
Well-
time, if we don't discuss it, then we tacitly approve it, and we have an opportunity here to look at some things and go, you know what, we don't like this, or no, you can't have that. We don't, we need to my feeling is that if we continue to say, oh, you know, we won't say anything about that, well, why would they show up?
But can we say what we've done in the past? I mean, I don't know how many, I think we've done this twice, when we said they refused to show up, and so we cannot approve this, or we cannot.
Well, we always have to be careful, as you already know, Jamie, is our verbiage is very, very important. So I think one of the opportunities we've done before is to basically say is that we've been provided with no information, and therefore we've not had an opportunity to make a decision. And this issue
We have written a letter to that
Yes.
effect, so we can actually almost verbatim switch this out and
basically what
present
you're saying, Jamie.
a letter that, for the board to approve, that just says,
We
you know.
can't recommend it.
Yeah,
Well,
for lack of information.
for lack of information, we can't.
We can't make a
A recommendation, advisory
either way.
recommendation.
So do we want to draft a letter to that effect?
I think all of it.
I'd like to suggest that we template a
Yeah,
letter
certainly so.
because
Yes.
of this coming up. And I wouldn't word it quite so prosaically because I think, you know, every effort has been made to contact
I agree.
this person. Andrew's called a number of times, thought that she would be here. I don't think that we have a role in coming down harshly, but I think we're making a recommendation to the board saying, not only can we not take a position because the person didn't show, but we, you know, go a little bit further with that and strike a position of, I don't know how to phrase it, I'd have to work out the phrasing of it a little bit.
Disappointment?
Well,
No,
no, again,
no.
we've got to be very careful because again, we're functioning as a quasi-judicial city lay. So I think what we've done before has worked very well, at least that's what I hear from the ZA's office. I think there was a letter that you penned very well, that went into a case file, and I remember going to a hearing and they said, oh, so you didn't show up in front of the committee, and we have to, and the guy said,
We can draft it.
Well-
As many times as that may have happened, we've had an experience with Moss, where over and over and over again, the applicant did not show up. We kept passing on making a recommendation. None of our letters showed up in that file. So I would like to maybe state further that we would like to hold any decision or
you
determination.
can't do that, Hope.
We can request.
You can't do
We
that,
can
Hope.
make a request.
Please,
There's
listen. I mean,
Yeah.
please listen to how the protocol is. If you decide to take an action without the opportunity, be it how many times you've requested it from that applicant, if you choose to write a letter that does not provide the opportunity to that applicant, the ZA is going to take that letter and say,
Bradley, you're not listening to what I'm saying. The request is that the ZA does not move, and the request that the applicant do appear before the
we
neighborhood
can't
council.
ask that because there's
We
no
can
requirement
ask.
for them to show up in front of a
There's no
neighborhood council.
requirement for any of this, Bradley. It's purely by recommendation.
What if
But this would
we,
be up to the ZA's
Of
discretion.
course, of course, everything is.
Although,
Even when it comes from the board.
Dunn recently honored Eagle Rock for their land use practices, and they write letters that ask for a lot. And they've been commended for asking. I mean, some of their letters will say, we don't recommend this, but if you decide to choose to do it anyway, we ask that you only do that approval with these conditions. You do the landscaping that was presented in the pictures, and but they do all these things, and it's like, I feel like we're never bold enough to ask for things, because we're like, oh, we're only advisory, so,
But
but
that's
I,
what you do.
We've done that before.
We've done it,
We've
and
set
it works very well.
conditions.
Right.
That's what we
And
discussed
therefore,
here.
we can do it again.
Yeah.
right,
You can
I
do it again.
suggest that we draft a letter with all of these remarks included, because the board currently basically rewrites letters anyway. I mean, we're going to send them a letter to approve, and they're going to change the language
Anyhow,
regardless. So let's just get something on paper that we submit, and if they want to strike stuff or add stuff, then it's out of our hands. But at least we've taken a stand saying, we do not appreciate, you know, being dismissed in this way by the applicant, and therefore, because after numerous calls and emails, we've gotten no response. Therefore, we can't take a stand, and we appreciate, you know, it makes sense to us that, you know, the decision be held until the neighborhood council has a chance to weigh in. I mean, it's not, it's just a letter. I don't think it's not something that's,
No.
we're going to get into trouble for writing.
It's advisory, so
Of
I
course,
think
and we've done it
can say
before. So,
what we want.
would you make that a motion?
Yes, I
Before you
like-
make the motion.
Go ahead.
Are we saying anything about the improvement? I think I remember a month or two or so, maybe 3 months back, there was a gentleman who came and he wanted to be relieved of having to improve in front of his
Mhm.
place, and we
Yeah.
didn't do it. We
Mhm.
said, no, you need to improve that. Are we recommending that this individual, or are we being silent?
I don't think we can take a,
You're right.
because we haven't seen any plans. We haven't even seen the application for a variance. It seems to me we really can't take a stand either way yet. But we can add that that's a concern of ours, that because we haven't seen any plans, we can't even go so far as to support the variance for 20 feet.
Right,
Okay.
or even have input
Yeah.
one way or the other.
That it's
I
a
think
concern
that's-
of ours, and
I like
we would
that.
like to have information
Just to
before we make
clarify.
any kind of decision.
I like that.
This case doesn't have a ZAD on it, the subsequent cases, no, the ZAD. This case is just an SPP, so
No,
it's
easy
just
stuff.
one specific plan compliance, which the application came with a community planning referral form, which has to be signed off by the planner saying it's in compliance with the specific plan and is required of the application, so,
So there isn't a 20-foot variance request on this?
no, I was mistaken. It's just the SPP.
Oh,
So
interesting.
at this point, it's probably my issue.
Well, I think then that kind of
He
explains
he
it.
knows, he
Well,
does
the
not do
this, let me look at the application again, because the agenda only shows the SPP.
And I took this exactly from Andrew's, I don't, you know, this isn't the language I speak.
This is not a ZA at all, you know, so it says
Director's review.
I still
Some-
think there's
some
no
of this-
excuse for
well, I
not
think
returning a
I
call
still
from someone who
think-
identifies themselves as calling from the neighborhood council. It seems to me that you would at least reply and say, you know
Right.
what, I don't need to come. I mean, that's all I'm asking.
Sometimes they, you gotta be,
This is still a discretionary entitlement, even if it is pretty standard, so they
and
can
some
have.
of this are sort of when it's only an addition, they think, well, it's strictly administer.
Yeah,
They
it's-
don't really have to be here. I don't
So I
know.
think,
Simplified motion.
I think the consideration for a motion should be definitely put on the
How do
floor.
you?
All right, I'd like to move that we draft a letter regarding 3395 Cazador Court that basically states that after numerous requests, we've been unable to get a response from the applicant, and we therefore cannot make any kind of recommendation on this project. That from the application, we see that there are some circumstances or there are potential issues that we would want to weigh in on, but because we have not seen any plans, we can't.
I think it's very good. That's what I'm looking for. That's
Who would like to
language.
second that?
Just did.
Very good language.
Good stuff.
Yes,
Do you want to ask for any more?
any more discussion on this?
I think that, and that type of
Discuss it
template letter
enough, or-
should be.
We should probably, yeah, once we have this nailed down and the board approves it, then we should make a template out of
Okay.
that.
Agreed on that. Are we ready to call a vote, Bradley?
Yes.
And Ruby,
Yes.
Chana,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Marge,
Yes.
Jared.
Yes.
Okay, good, that's unanimous.
Hines? She should get you.
Oh, she
I'm
just,
on
you
Well, she
didn't call your
did- that's why
name.
she said, that's why she said unanimous. Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm. So Hines is the next one?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Lines, yeah, this one is a ZA.
I believe we were assured of an appearance.
Absolutely, he spoke to me twice, we had quite a long conversation,
Yeah, and actually,
definitely said he was coming.
I was concerned about this one because the agenda shows this SPP, but the application does not. And any single-family home in this specific plan area has to get an SPP. So I don't believe their entitlement request is complete.
The photos that I took, this is referencing the Heinz project. Both of them, and by the way, the numbers were confused from the city as well. I was looking for the city address and it's like, I was on a downslope, odd number. No, they're actually both upslope on Heinz. And I took everyone who lives in the area should know this road, but I took a couple of photos.
What is it across the street from? Is it across from 17?
The address?
Yeah, 'cause I was just there and I noticed on one side of the street, it was like 2517, and then it was like, it looked like that. And so I was like, oh, is that where they're trying to build the house?
It's open.
But I could be wrong.
And the road's really narrow.
We did get,
They are requesting the relief from Improvement Street. It's not they're requesting a CAD, not a CAA.
Exactly. We all received an email from Ryan. I'll just read it because we now want to allow anyone to put anything into the record. Hello, I'm concerned with homes being built along this stretch of Heinz Drive as they potentially pose a threat to my home in regards to water runoff during heavy rains. Currently, the existing porous dirt blocks absorb most rainfall, keeping it from flowing onto Heinz Drive. Once houses are built, where will the rain from hardscape and roofs flow? Well, I bet it flows down Heinz on the road surface and then to Lavelle, where it hopefully gets caught in V groove that was placed there after my home was flooded just after the city-approved section of Heinz was built in front of my home at 2600 Heinz. The V groove was added after that flooding and has so far worked, but we have also but we have also not had much rain in the past few years, but when it is rain, I've monitored the V groove at its near capacity. Water makes it. We don't want to finish it
Water that makes a draft that flows directly towards my home and into my driveway and carport possibly. Are there any plans for cisterns or some kind of rainfall catch basin for these proposed homes? If not, are there any plans to take that water below street level and down the hill, beyond the opening of Heinz directly in front of my home? And it's just not my home, it's many homes, even if the water makes the turn down the bell towards Kinney, it's all above ground. The first real storm drain is located at Kinney, all the way down at Crestmore. So in closing, my question is, what is being done with all the rainwater that will no longer be mostly absorbed into the ground? How will it be managed?
Thank you.
So we have looked into that before, those sewer problems. And, I remember having sent city engineers to meet with Ryan.
I did too.
Yeah, and, you know.
And I sandbagged with them.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
And they're looking to see what kind of engineering they can do on that.
Yeah.
As far as, you know, those sewer lines, we're not really sure. Not very sure at this point where they're at.
Thank you. If I may, I prefer not to comment on any of this until at least I had the opportunity to meet with the applicant that's here and ask those kinds of questions. I think developing any type of consensus at this level is.
Again, on a situation like this, I just think we have to start looking at the timeline, and we do have to address the city. I'm not sure when his situation and his dates are for these several determinations. I don't want to come in behind the scenes, as we're going to hear when we get to the updates. So I would suggest we take our template letter.
Yes.
Because this is something, particularly once the community has weighed in on, and there is a situation that we'd like to get more information about, I don't want this to just slide by.
Can we
I
include,
think the template letter to include what Helen was saying about, or what Brian was saying about the
This year.
the water.
Shot has got a year.
And we just,
It's got
can we
easier.
beef up the template letter a little bit,
Well,
saying we don't know?
It doesn't even
Does
have.
the current template have the ability for us to add specific points, such
That would
as
create
we
the
received
template, I'm
community
sure.
input?
Yeah.
I think so, and I also think that, you know, we should say that we had community input, which that is, and that we can't confirm that either of these applicants did the outreach that we require.
Aren't they the same?
Yeah.
Yes.
These two last
Same
ones?
Oh, I thought
Should
Cazador
we
and
check them
Hines.
out?
Those two different applicants both got the email asking them to notify the neighbors, and we can't know that they did.
I would just do our template and add the part about the water and our concern.
For all of them that are not here. That's the
Yeah.
template for all of them.
Well, there's only two.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Is
can
there a
we move-
motion?
can-
Yes, I'd like to move that a very similar letter be drafted regarding Hines to the one we just drafted for Cazador, but we should also include that we've had some community input, although we cannot confirm that the community was fully notified. And therefore, and we have, again, we have concerns about various hillside issues that we don't have information,
Yeah,
enough information on.
I second.
good.
Hang on one second, guys.
Okay, do we have any further discussion on this issue?
Helen asked if we vote for just a second. She's ready.
Yeah,
But if anybody
okay.
wants to talk more, I'll be glad to have that fill up the time. Okay, I know how to finish that. Bradley?
Yes.
Ruby?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Walsh? Yes. Jared?
Yes.
And myself.
Okay, moving right along.
When did that email come in? Because I never saw it. And I just looked for it and I'm not finding
Today.
it. Today.
It went to the,
LU dash comments?
Yeah.
I got
Well,
it.
then you fix it.
No, I got it.
I don't know why I didn't get it.
We're on 8.
It's a very no letter. This
no
is something that's come back onto the agenda. Is the Barry Knoll letter. I have not made any changes of it, just that it wasn't discussed. So hopefully you have that letter.
This is,
I'd be glad to read it.
Liz Heron's project.
Oh.
Are you talking about one particular address on Berry Knoll, or there's several on
It's
Berry
the
Knoll?
cumulative impacts
Yes,
that
there's
I'm
several.
addressing.
Do we have a copy of your draft? I guess I don't have it.
It was provided in a previous package,
Right.
and I'm sorry, I've been out of town until recently. But it states, the Board of the Glassell Park Neighborhood Council requests that city planning in conjunction with City Council District 1 and Building and Safety look at the ongoing developments in Barry Knoll Canyon collectively and apply the appropriate environmental review to assess the cumulative impact of all the properties when assessing them for any mitigation. All of the above addresses are currently listed on the same MMD, all the lots, and that hasn't changed as of my last contact with the city. Although they've been suggesting that might. Lots ranging in size from 4892 to 10,039 are located within the RE11 zone area. These lots were downsized in 1979 primarily to address major limitations in infrastructure and hillside terrain where these properties are located. The application of mitigation measures to the Barry Knoll properties needs to include the factors that triggered the downzoning and incorporate them into the environmental review process. This subdivision on Barry Knoll is a perfect example of how a continuing increase in housing density is not being balanced with existing infrastructure. The city is failing to dedicate sufficient resources to mitigating the impacts of the size of the development. The health and safety of the residents as well as the natural environment are being significantly compromised. Our concerns about this size development are impact on the environmental impact report to properly assess the magnitude of cumulative impacts that have require mitigation. This project has been delivered piecemeal by the developer. Initially, only 3 houses were put before planning department, and now there's potential for development of 15 or more. The area of the zoning downsizing issue has not been recognized nor has been addressed. For more than a year, we have heard stakeholders raise concerns about the negative effects of unmitigated impacts on the hillside neighborhoods areas near Berryhill Drive, and that an environmental impact report is necessary in order to thoroughly analyze the potentially dangerous effects these impacts could cause. We emphatically request that all properties between 3600 and 3900 Berryhill Drive be flagged for additional review for future development to make sure they are in compliance with the full and independent environmental review and strictly adheres to the Mount Washington Glassell Park specific plan and hillside ordinance.
Hi, that's a lot.
That's a big
That's
one.
It's a little much more than I expected.
Are you saying that that letter was written a while ago and we just never voted on it? Or?
Correct. I brought this, I believe, was it the last meeting or the meeting before? And it was on the agenda, and
Yeah,
And it was tabled?
it was tabled.
it was tabled.
Yeah.
I do have to say that was because it was probably 9:45, and everyone was very tired.
Marsh, can you clean that up a bit? That's a lot.
Well,
But it was,
I don't know anything, I don't know, I mean, this is a
About
huge
that
project.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
I think it's a really good letter,
Yeah.
and I think that it deserves to go before the board.
Can I make a
I move that that letter as written be forwarded to the board for their consideration.
Before we do that, Bradley, do you know anything about this project?
I don't know anything
No.
about this project.
Because I know that.
Some of the verbiage, though, I do know.
Liz is still working on the EIR on it,
Well, in
and I don't think she's been very successful at it.
Liz?
Aaron.
Liz Aaron, the architect. She's been here many times.
I know Liz very
Yes.
well.
Yeah, so,
I have,
um,
are we in discussion?
I seconded, I don't know if that kind of
yeah,
discussion.
we're on discussion right now.
Discussion.
So may I ask Bradley, you said you know something about the verbiage. I thought it was really good, but is there some specific planning knowledge that you could share that?
Well, I think it's I think if you just get to the point that it just needs to fulfill its environmental impact review process, that by itself, without all the additives, will speak volumes. And I think that's why I had asked, to have it cleaned up a bit, because ZA will look at the first 2 paragraphs
Yeah.
and dump it.
What we've done at the board level lately is added an opening sentence that just says, the board of the Glassell Park Neighborhood Council asks for blah, blah, blah. And then that's stated in bold at the top of the
Okay.
letter, and then all the background information and all the supporting
Perfect.
is there.
That's where you would add the environmental.
Yes, and then at the very end, we also have a bold line that says, this was unanimous, or this was blah, blah. So it's been cleaned up some in just the way it's presented to the ZA, so they don't have to read through the whole thing.
Right.
They
And that's
see
key.
the two bold points, but if they want more information as to why
It's in
we
the
arrived at
body.
those things, I think that all should go in the letter.
And can I just say that I feel like the more thorough and descriptive we are, the more it becomes clear that we weren't just like, do the EIR. I mean,
But it's,
we're like saying, because this, these are our specific
Right.
concerns. And I feel like it'll be taken more seriously if there's a lengthy letter behind that first sentence.
Yeah,
That's my
I don't agree that lengthy is always better, but I do
No.
But
think
there was
that when you
content in every
have,
sentence.
exactly, when you need it, when you need the length to get all that content in it, go with it. But if, obviously, you don't just make it long for the sake of it looking like you did some
Yeah,
research.
no, okay.
Well,
So we move second.
I'm a little concerned about the fact that this is Berryhill we're talking about. We've had a case, 2 cases actually, where we tried to stop construction of Berryhill, and we failed. Only because the city said, permits have already been issued, you cannot do that. And in this case, I know it's kind of hanging in there at a point. And so I don't know whether we should contact Liz and just get an update from her before we shoot this letter out?
I think we write
I've
it.
been in contact with the city about it.
Have you been in contact with Liz on this?
I've not,
Yeah.
but I've been in contact with Andrea, who is, knowing you received this.
And we're not supposed to talk to them behind closed doors in
Exactly.
private meetings. They're supposed to talk to us here, and all that information is available to the public. That's the only way that it should ever be done. Because then, if Colleen goes and has that conversation, I don't know the content of that conversation, except for what she conveys at the meeting. And it's like, well, that person should be here at that meeting to convey that information.
Except that, well, we did address that somewhat, didn't we, in 6?
Oh, right. CCing the whole committee.
Yeah, or BCC.
I think, you know, obviously, like, I made calls to the applicants for 7 because, I mean, somebody's got to call them and contact them. So that makes sense. But I didn't discuss projects. I just said, you know, can you come to this meeting, you know,
Basic
and what will you
protocols.
be bringing?
The basic protocols.
Yeah, that's all.
Which is what should only happen.
Exactly.
Until they are
That's
all-
all
that's
we
it
do,
happened.
yeah.
So on this project, we've got a first and a second, we're in discussion. Let's vote.
Yes, let's. Great. Bradley.
No.
Ruby.
Abstain.
How are we counting abstentions?
Same.
As a no.
No.
As a no.
Chana.
Yes.
Jamie.
To send that letter
Yes.
to the board,
To the
yes.
Marge.
Yes.
Jared.
Abstain.
And myself. 1, 2, 3. It moves forward with 4 votes, 6-3.
With the letter.
As is.
The board is modify as they see fit.
Marge is adding the statement.
Well, what happens though is if I will give the board exactly what we voted to send to the board, and then the board will change it how they wish.
Yes.
Oh, I thought Marge said she.
She said that.
Oh,
what the board has
that's
been
how the
doing.
board, when the secretary sends it, the board
Okay.
secretary puts it together for Ben to sign to send to the city, that's how it will be formatted. With the
Oh, okay.
bold,
Because this is a public recorded
Right.
committee meeting.
Public
I
document.
can't take whatever we decide out here and make changes on it without it being done within another public meeting.
Oh, I see, I misunderstood. I thought we were adding.
no, it's a
Marge's
formatting
We weren't.
thing that'll happen after the board puts it.
Got it, okay.
I don't know, out of courtesy, if we should send a copy of that to this, who's been here many times about this project.
Well,
It's public information.
It's public information, and we could let Liz know when it's
Right.
been formalized by the board.
Once it's formalized by the board. Okay. Moving right along. Number 9. This Nelson Park bus route. So, Andy is working on this one, scheduled a meeting about the proposed bus route on the 23rd, so,
Yeah, I spoke with Jose.
yeah, so.
I tried to get updates from people who weren't gonna be here.
And I spoke with Hector.
So this is not until the 23rd.
Both the council districts are working on it, and they're working through DOT, and DOT has been doing a study on it.
And they expect to have enough information to hold a meeting here in this building
Town hall meeting.
on the 23rd at 6 p.m.
You know, this is the same bus that we removed.
It might be a dash as opposed to a city bus.
You know,
Right, no, it was a city bus and it was damaging all the streets. Because it's a big bus and it's coming from, I guess it was coming from Division.
which
And
may be why
doing
they're
more
looking
damage
at
than
it
trash.
now.
Oh, I know.
Or construction trucks.
They're horrible. They all do it, yeah.
15 cement trucks going up.
Or the one that's missing.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yes, we do.
So, I just wanted
Two
to,
times before.
but the
Yes.
dash would be
Yeah.
good because we've had a request for a dash before from Caltrans to see whether they could approve something like this, which would go into Blussel Park and into Mount Washington to serve both that community.
Do you guys remember when we voted to approve the thing?
Yeah,
This committee.
But
Right,
that's,
but then we like it.
that's just the neighborhood council. It's so different once DOT takes it on, and it's good to know that both council districts are really interested in moving behind this. Right, it really didn't matter what we said, they were already moving forward on it.
But this is just status updates.
Oh.
This is status updates on things that we have actually, submitted in letters on, and we're following up, basically. That's all this section is.
Kenny Street.
Kenny Street.
Kenny,
Oops, sorry.
we don't have CD1 here on Kenny Street.
No.
It wasn't a status
I
report.
want to suggest that, again, this is one of those things that could go on and on and on. And I want to move this to the board to take more direct action, to talk to DOT. I'd like to know where the center line is on that street. I want to know if it was always going to be that width, or if over time the upslope has just encroached upon and narrowed that street to such an extent. I am probably certain that nothing major is going to happen to that slope. But I just think that, a lot of people on this committee and elsewhere have put some really, good concerns and positive energy toward this, and we're not seeing anything happen. In fact, we have an example of some lip service being done to it, which was really pretty shocking. So I want to recommend that we take this off of just update, we move it to the board, and talk about more directly engaging the city to deal with the issues of Kenny Street.
You want to take a motion?
I just did.
Oh, motion. Second then.
Okay, do you have any further discussion on this?
Yes, with regard to the Kenny Street improvement, do we know how far we are looking to be concerned about this length of Kenny? Do we know anything on what's being proposed currently by the city entities or by the council office on that improvement? Has there been any feedback from any city entity on this?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I have from Jose, and Jose's been wonderful. He's tracked all the 20 emails that I sent requesting information. And essentially, I've not received any answers. I'm merely asking that we look at the situation. I would like DOT to take a look at the street and give their best recommendations. I'm not really getting any traction on this.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Are they not building that house on Kenny right now? That little house that's, the house that's kind of right in front of that hill, it's kind of reducing the,
I rarely travel on Kenny, so.
yeah, it's a mess. You know where they usually, trucks get stopped?
Yeah,
And
where
then-
they flip over.
Stopped is a euphemism.
Stopped, as in permanently.
So
It's
they're
for the
building,
rough heavy
right,
thing.
they're building that house, and that by itself is an impact on that street. And if we can leverage that developed house as to say we have concerns regarding public safety.
We have photos of overturned trucks on
Right.
Kenny that you can just, it's a flip book. It happens so often. So I don't think we need further examples. I mean, I would say yes, of course, there's, future development and current development
Yeah,
on
tape
Kenny Street
travel stuff
is
in
something
news.
that's going to be an issue. But I think the improvement on Kenny Street should be considered regardless of whether houses are going to be built along it, which of course we can only guess they will be. But yeah, I can't see why asking them
I'm
to
simply
make a
asking
study
that we assess
would
the
help us.
problems.
A study,
A
okay, that
study,
makes sense,
and
okay.
we want this to
So
be
we're
a
saying a
study.
study,
We want a
not
study
just
by
inquiry.
LADOT
Oh, perfect,
that
that's the
will give
verbiage
us
I'm
the
looking for,
information
study.
we
I'm
want.
so glad to satisfy you.
Yeah,
So-
looking for language.
We want
Study.
the city to get back to us on the situation on Kenny Street. Is it, and how it can be improved?
All right.
We have a motion and a second, right?
We do.
Right.
All right, Bradley?
Okay.
Yes.
Ruby?
Yes.
Chana?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Marge? Yes. Jared?
Yes.
And myself. Okay. And that will move forward.
Okay, 4247 Eagle Rock. This is the gentleman that's been here twice. Shows us-
Super nice guy, talked to him.
Yeah, yeah, he's really nice. Yeah. He's working with us.
He sent us an update, obviously after this was typed. What he said to me was that they had met with planning department and the DWP, and both had requests of them. So they wanted to revise their plans to accommodate what the planning department and DWP wanted, and in addition, what we had asked for before coming back to us, which is why he asked to be on the August agenda and not tonight's. And then he sent the email as well today that pretty much said the same thing.
Right.
That's very nice of him.
Do we know who he's working with in planning?
Harry Richardson.
Okay.
There was a letter we wrote, I thought, did we not? Asking the case to be on hold or something.
After his first visit, we did.
Oh, okay.
And then he
Yeah.
came back at the next meeting, but I think maybe you weren't here for one of them. You must have not.
I wasn't here
the
for the
second
first
one.
time.
Because I
For the second one,
remember,
yeah.
we did write a letter, and that's what Mary Richardson did, was actually put the case on hold until some type of resolution can be worked out with regard to some of the issues we had on windows, facades, landscaping.
Right.
Which is what it sounds like he's trying to do.
It seems like that's what they're
Yeah.
working toward.
Is he
Yeah, that's right, you
talking
weren't in the second
reduction?
one, but Jared was.
Yeah.
That was your first meeting, right?
Well, my introduction.
So that's good. At least he's on top of it. That's important.
And I sent him the notification thing.
Okay, so, I have a concern because that project is working on, that's on the east side of Eagle Rock Boulevard, but on the west side, there's that project where they demolished a lot of the homes and now it's abandoned.
No, it's on the west
No,
side.
it's on the west.
No, this
If
one
you're
is-
going north on Eagle Rock, it's on the left. It's on the same
Oh,
side
yeah,
as the
well,
Fashion
I'm
Museum.
going north and it's on the east side.
You mean it's,
But
Talking the
but
same thing.
anyway, on the west side of Eagle Rock Boulevard, you're going north, there's that project that has been, they demolished all the homes and all the properties in there, but
That's this
It's
project.
the same one.
no,
That's
no,
that
no,
project.
no, I'm not talking about that one. This is a different project. This is the 59 homes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the other one that's now
Kind of
across,
cross
it's
street.
been,
Due respect, is it on the agenda?
no, I'm just saying that I want to bring that up. If anybody is driving by there, you can take a look at that one. We should bring that up at our next agenda.
Good.
So we need a street address.
And we need a street address on that. I think we've looked at that before and nothing's happened there.
Sherry Nelson.
We should be concerned about things that are happening and then not happening. Because it's been graffitied many times over and I've called the city graffiti people to remove graffiti on it. Okay. San Fernando Road,
Sherry Olson. Should
where
we?
is she? Oh, no, she was supposed to be,
No, she said August.
yeah, August.
Okay, sweet.
But her update was that she is, our requests from the June meeting are being negotiated with the owner. She said he's having a little difficulty coming around. And she will have a report for our committee in August as to how they're doing with all the requests we made at the last meeting for bollards and maybe blocking off driveways and landscaping
The landscaping.
and cleaning and no loitering.
I just wanted to ask, how did that appear on the agenda in the first place? Did she come to us, did someone come to her?
You mean the last
The
June agenda?
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know, I didn't know.
Well, I know I had requested that there be an update on that location, given the conditional use permit and the
Oh,
issues.
conditional use.
Right,
Right.
and so that's the
And
reason
what
why
they
it was
had
brought up,
done.
and what they had or hadn't done. And,
I drove by and I was looking at it, you know, they can, some of the things that they said at the, was it the last meeting? They actually can do some of those things.
Oh, I'm sure they can.
And so I spent time looking at it and I said, well, this is not true. So,
and also too, is there's graffiti on the backside. This is my hood, this is my area, I know it very well. There's graffiti on the backside. And if the idea was to just only focus on the front of the property, that's not what we do here at Glass Opener. It's the entire property as a whole. So that's another issue of contingency that needs to be brought up. in
Is
future
their
years.
conditional use permit going to be revisited?
In 5 years.
5 years.
And so it's been, what, 1 year? Not quite?
Not quite.
Have they already been deemed in compliance with their conditions?
No, they haven't. That's the reason why I'm bringing it up.
they haven't done
Huh.
what they said they were going to do.
So if she comes to us in August and says the owner is not willing to make those changes, then we have the ability
We have recourse,
We
right?
have
We
recourse.
can then send a letter saying because they have not met their promises, or how does that
Well,
work?
They have not met the conditions
Right.
of
But
approval.
there is a determination letter.
Yes.
That's an issue,
Yes.
so I don't know if further conditions can be added after the determination.
Again, but go ahead.
No, but again, another opportunity for requests. I think Brendan's idea of angled parking was brilliant. Brilliant. It would solve so many problems.
But getting back to the issues of this, what Sherry Olson has promised or indicated, regardless if she's able to look into it or not with the owner, we as a committee, I feel, should be a little more direct in making sure that those conditions are complied with, because this was one of those corner properties, corner developments that this committee was
Right.
really
Right.
divisive over, and it separated many of us on many issues. And I think if it comes back, I think we really do need to hold them to the fire.
Well, I think it's also curious that it's being tied with their new project.
Yeah, there's
I
another
find that
project.
very specious.
Yeah,
I would say this is, based on no information except knowing where 2205 San Fernando Road is, and that it's between the elementary school and the high school, and it's within a mile of the other 7-Eleven store.
Well, it's right next to that gas station that already has a
It's the
very
laundromat.
nice,
Well, it's where the laundromat was,
Mhm.
but yes, there's a little AM/PM type store right across the
it's
street.
the gas station.
At the gas station. And given that they have not fulfilled their conditions at the existing location, what makes us think they're going to do any better at this location, which is even more of a,
Yes.
the loitering and the littering with students
Very
and young
sensitive.
people all over the place? I think it's just,
Asking.
And what about traffic issues? I mean, that's such
Traffic is
a
parking
crazy
alone.
congested,
yes, all of those things. And I just don't see us, and I know that we're only recommendations and we don't have a great deal to say about it, but there are so many better businesses that could go into that location, including another laundromat, which people in that neighborhood use, that this seems the absolute wrong thing to put there, to me. And I'm only just saying,
especially because it's a
you know.
long-standing business. I moved here in 2008, it's the same owners, like I know
Yeah,
them.
but the laundromat's gone.
No, I know, but I'm talking about the gas station across the street. It's gonna be in competition with them, and it's like,
Competition's a good
why?
thing for
Well,
business.
competition, we can't,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a
that's
good
like
thing.
saying you can't, I don't want you to build across the street from me. I mean, yes, I don't, but at the same time, it's your right.
I'm just saying, like, since we already have that there,
Right.
it would be nice to have something different.
It would be great to have
It
it.
may serve different
Action
functions.
on,
They've
it
served different
says
functions, I
possible
think.
actions, so can we, based on our experience with them a year ago, and then the last time they were here, and just like you were saying, I personally think they speak before the tongue, nicely, but can we take a possible action, because it's under
Yes, we
the
can.
category that says so.
But I recommend that we wait till the next meeting to hear them out. And have public comment on it.
I think it's on the agenda for an action item, and this committee can choose to, if they vote to do so, to take an action. Whatever that action is, they can do so. It is listed on the agenda.
If we do it, I would say that we need to, if we're going to object to it, I would say we need to object to it in general as a 7-Eleven type store, not Sherry Olson and not the 7-Eleven, but that in our experience, and it has come to our attention that, because there's not even a ZA number on this thing, it's just, at this point, as far as I know, it's hearsay. I mean, does anybody know for a fact?
I do.
I'm sure it does.
It's working
She
its way.
said, and it says applicant, unless we didn't get the information right, plans to present at EDLU August meeting. So I mean, I guess we can hold our comments and present them there because they're not going to change any, but I really feel like I said, they speak with forked tongue. She's a nice person, but what
She's a
they
representative
did,
of 7-Eleven.
but what they did, the owners she represented, were not straight up and did not, abide by the conditions that we suggested. And now, I think it's the same gentleman, or is it?
It is.
It's the same
It's
gentleman
Chris.
who wants to put it another, so why would we think that he'll just blow us off?
My feeling about this is that we have time to address this. I don't know if we need to rush to this letter. Nothing's going to happen that quickly.
They're still in the application form.
Whereas I would still like to look at the current one on Fletcher and San Fernando Road.
Yes.
And I think we nowhere
No,
near
no.
finished that discussion. And in fact, I think there were members of this committee that made a point of cutting the discussion short. And I'd like us to take a real look at that because they are a neighbor of ours. I'm sorry, did you see your hand there?
No, it's fine.
And I don't think we should be limited in our discussion.
My question is more of a general question. Just given that we're supposed to have speakers tonight and they never showed, what would happen if we were to hold off until the next meeting and then they don't show?
We've had an example of that, and Moss is like our perfect example, where we kept waiting and supposedly rescheduling and waiting, rescheduling. And in the meantime, their process was rolling along and we didn't get an opportunity to weigh in. I think when you act in good faith, you have a conversation with someone, they say they're going to show up, you have to assume that they're going to stand by their word or call and contact somebody, of course, and explain why not. So,
The
yeah.
template scenario works quite well in those situations.
This isn't a case of someone not showing up though, because they're supposed to be here in August, not
It's just a
today.
future question. What happens if that?
Right.
But I think Marge answered that very well, and that's the template. The committee is very much in agreement that we need to develop this template and make sure the board is okay with it, so that we can start sending that stuff out.
And the committee should develop templates for everything and let board approve.
But getting back on the issue of the 7-Eleven at Fletcher and San Fernando, there is an opportunity for this committee to hold that development accountable. And if we can do so, I think we should consider looking into that. I'm not telling us what to do, but I'm saying we do have conditions of approval.
You see how fishy this can look when you have this one project here and they're coming up with a new project. I think that it would be wise of this committee and the board to treat them very separately. I am not wanting to bargain one thing for another. I
Not sure
don't
where
think
that-
that's where we should be, what we should be doing.
No, but we can use the one thing
I'm
as a.
Leverage.
I'm not even saying leverage, I'm saying we can say, we have learned from this experience
Correct.
that not to expect them to live up to their promises at this location. We're not saying, if you do this, then we'll give you an approval here. I don't
don't tie them together either.
Exactly.
No, but I think it would be useless to just state what happened. And what happened is they did not live up to what they said.
Right.
And that just, it's
And I'm just
It's
wondering
just
too,
clear.
if it's good cop, bad cop, where Sherry is the good cop and the owner that never is here, you know, it's an easy out to say, you know, the owner's dragging his heels, he doesn't want to do it. Well,
Right, and she's
No.
carrying it back and saying, well, I'll see, but that's not,
it doesn't do us any good at all.
And then also too, there were other items that Sherry divulged that we didn't even know about, things like oil that's being placed by the AutoZone. They're doing their mechanical shops, they're doing the
Right.
mechanical
Well, you
oil
know,
change
when this
stuff.
project came to us, no one even mentioned AutoZone. We didn't know about the little cell phone shop. All we heard was that's gonna be a 7-Eleven.
right.
Nobody said anything about what else was coming in there.
And the owner wouldn't tell us, remember? The owner was here, he didn't tell us. We asked.
So,
It wasn't the owner of the project, it was just the owner of 7-Eleven.
No, the owner of the property actually was there.
Wasn't
the
it?
first time.
I remember, because I said, oh, I remember you. He's like, yeah, I know you.
So would we want to proceed with 9D and table 9E for when they had agreed to show up at the August meeting?
So, what's the
Would we
plan for
like-
D?
I'm asking, do we want to address the issues on that item?
Well, we did at the last meeting. We listed all of our concerns at the last meeting, and now you have more because of
Yes.
graffiti on the back.
And I have more.
So we should put it in writing and actually send it not only to ZA, whatever about the conditional use permit, but send it to Sherry and
Of
Yes.
course.
7-Eleven and, the whole world.
Yeah.
And is it Mitch's office, C13? And tell them that we're not happy
Correct.
with the follow-up.
Is that a motion?
It is a motion.
And I second it.
It's good.
And again, this is a letter that's going to go to the board, and the board
Of
will
course.
tweak
Or
it as they see
Justice will
fit.
have to tweak
Right.
that somewhere.
May I
There
take
you
a
go,
vote?
Ben. Yes.
Bradley?
Hell, yes.
Ruby?
Yes.
Shawna?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Orange?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Nice. There you go.
Miss 702.
I only put that on because we had recent information that doesn't really change anything. It's just, I sent it to everybody. But we had already sent a letter of approval on this project, if everyone recalls.
Oh, yes.
I think the thing that moved us was the fact that it was just on the corner of Eagle Rock Boulevard. So you felt as though it wasn't completely encroaching on residential areas on Avenue 33, but it's right next to, what's his name, Tucker Caesar's place on Eagle Rock Boulevard.
I'm going to tell you what I approved it for. I like the facade. I like the fact that they were willing to put that fence, which is something that was needed, and how they were able to modulate the building. I thought that by itself really improved. I think the property on Eagle Rock Boulevard could learn something from that property.
Yeah, in retrospect, with the things that I've seen, I didn't love it when I saw it. It was one of my first meetings, but now in retrospect, I'm like, wow, not bad compared to some of the stuff I've seen.
But I think that, well, the other thing is that we couldn't find a copy of the letter to post on the website.
That was the
I was
problem.
looking for this letter, I looked under,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many agendas around, and minutes around 8/18/15 I looked at, and it's nowhere to be found. So ideally, we find a copy of that letter.
That was a nice project. That was actually a
It
very
never
nice
came
project.
across me.
Yeah, no, I don't know where that went.
So without it, do we have to recreate?
I don't know.
Either Bradley or Andrew should have.
Andrew might have it.
Would the city have it because we sent it?
Yes, they would.
It could be in the
So-
file.
Maybe we could ask them.
That's kind of,
Just in my very limited experience, it's presented to the board and then the chair sends it. I know I sent off the last letter, but that means were you?
The board would have approved it, yeah.
yeah.
The board would have approved it, right?
Right, what I'm saying.
I'm pretty sure
were
you signed it, but I don't know.
Whoever was the chair at the time should have it. in email.
Bradley.
So then you can probably find it in the email right at the time.
You would hope.
I would hope.
And maybe Andrew has it,
That's
and
who's
when he
got
gets
it.
back from Japan, we can
Because I didn't retain
But
anything, I just sent it right to
It's
the
on here
secretary.
because we don't want to forget
Mhm.
and not have records of these kinds of
True.
things.
I think these are the types of protocols that we're going to have to address because it's a public thing and it should, all
Well, I-
public things that come out of the board have to be on our website
I
so
think
everyone
it's
will
in
know
number
what we've done.
6 now.
Well, I think that we'll,
Reiterating.
we're going to nail this down.
I wrote that.
Good, good girl.
So,
So,
last item on the list?
Okay, okay, let's,
That's it.
we
We're
finished.
done?
How about that?
Whoa.
No time at all.
It's not even 8:30.
That's
Yeah.
really
I'm
something.
taking
home and
notes on
watch
this
the
timer.
speech.
Oh,
Let's not get too excited. The real reason it's over early is because nobody showed up. So.
well, that's kind of true.
Yeah, we can make these meetings shorter if we just kind of keep our comments
Got
down.
it, got it, got it.
Again,
Right on.
we meet on the last Thursday of the month,
Yeah, so that's going to conflict on all but like 2 months of the year.
2 months out of the year,
All but.
all but 2 months of the year.
Ruby, if it helps, I've been in communication with Mel and Hector. Mel's been in communication with everyone from the organization, and that is going to get worked out.
Yeah, because that's, when I talked to Mel about it, he suggested that we work it out with our community.
And Mel said that we have the room,
Yeah, right.
and they'll have to reschedule.